They didn't believe in us. What is up, guys? Second episode is dropping right now. Davis of Flash 4X here, back with video number 2 of my What I've Learned After Passing My First Funded Account series. And this one, we're diving deep into the charts. All right, guys. So before we get to the charts, I was talking about in my previous video how I was trying to expand my funding currently and, pass a few more challenges. So currently we've got 250K total, 50K with 2forex funds, which is right on screen right now, and then 200K with funded engineer that I copy trade to. But as of right now, we're about 5.6% to that 8% profit target goal. And one thing I wanted to show, I was kind of talking about it in the first video that I released, but when we start out, we try to go for those 1R trades, so basically making 1%. So I'm risking 1%. And then we extend that once we get a bit of a cushion. So my last trade was that trade where I let my trade run a bit more, and since I have more of a cushion, we're gonna see some more larger trades to finish up the challenge. So we should be finishing that shortly, but also for some reason it's been most of my trades have just been on Mondays. That's just when the setups have happened. It's been about 30 days since I started the challenge, but I've only traded 10 of those days. So a lot of that has been since it's been the holidays, so I've been kind of moving around, but I also only trade on days where my setups are showing up, so I'm not just trading every day to trade. And as we kind of scroll down here, so this is what I like to see as well. Like I prefer to hold my trades longer, um, and get larger wins. So that's kind of where I'd like the remaining trades in this challenge to be here now that we have that cushion. And this is also something that I do look at here. So the best trade, 811, worst trade, 382. So I'm making sure my losses are smaller than my wins. And even when we're looking at the average, the loss $200 and the win 291. So as I continue, since like I said, we're going for larger RR trades now that we've got a cushion. So this RR should continue to increase to about 2R. And then the win rate might go down a bit since, like I said, we're trying to go for that larger RR now. But that's kind of how I like to finish up the challenges. It just makes it easier. Another thing that I did is I've only been trading US 30. Like I trade one pair now, one indice. So, and I've pretty much only been buying. I literally have 2 sells, and I'm pretty sure one of the sells was one of my losses. But it's just been, I'm just going with what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and move to the charts, and we can go over what I've added to my charts that have made it a lot easier to manage my trades and trade ideas day to day. Let's get to it. All right, so I went ahead and moved over to the charts, and the first thing we'll do, let me turn off everything because I want to go through these things individually. We're actually not going to really go through the EMAs at all. So, but the first thing that I added to my charts that I wasn't previously doing was in the corner here, as you see, I've got the daily, 4-hour, and the 1-hour trend. So if it's basically bullish or bearish, I just say up or down because it's faster to type. Keep it simple. But this was actually something that I saw FX Alex G. So he's got a YouTube channel, but saw him doing, and this is all building off that idea that we're trying to make the charts work for us. So we're making it easier to where our brain oh boy. So our brain doesn't have to do that much thinking. It's just on the chart laid out for us already. And in this case, so what I mean, if you don't know how the trend would work in this case, so if we're on the daily chart, we're making higher highs and higher lows, then that would be an uptrend. So in this case, we're up. That's kind of where I got that up right there. Got the 4-hour chart. Are we making higher highs and higher lows? You know what? I think we are. So that's going to be the uptrend right there. And then on the 1 hour, essentially the same thing. Just, you know, in this case, there was a brief period where we actually would have been down on the 1 hour. And then that changed to, broke that one back to the uptrend. So that is how we use that tool. And what specifically FX LXG kind of added to these points is that each of these add to your probability of the trade working out for you. So he actually did it on the higher time frames because he's more of a swing trader. So he did the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour. But I adapted it to kind of how I trade, in that way I made it to where daily, 4 hour, and 1 hour are what I'm tracking with this tool here. But essentially what happens is that each of these is actually going to be adding 10% probability that the trade is going to work out for you. So each of these 10% probability that's going to work out. So if you have, let's say initially the trade is 50% probability, and then from there you're using these. So if only one of these is true, so let's say it's only the 1 hour is down, only the 1 hour is bearish, and if that's the case, then that probably wouldn't be a good probability that you're going to succeed in that trade because the other time frames aren't confluent with that. So I usually like to have, and this is kind of what he does too, is you would have um, at least two of these would need to be lined up. So you'd basically, even if the 1 hour is down, you'd still be wanting to go for the upwards move because these two are up. That's going to be adding 20% to the likelihood of your trade working out for you, and that's not um going to be exact percentages, but it's just an easier way to look at how the time frames, depending on the time frames that you execute, um, these can definitely benefit how you're gonna see higher probability setups. And even when we looked at the True Forex funds count, currently win rate's 85%. So you just implementing this tool and then the other tools that I'm gonna show here in a moment. And one side note too, when you're plotting these trends out on your chart or have this anchored text, and let me show you actually how I add this. I've just got the anchored text shortcut, but you can actually just go to the drawing panel, then under it might show up as this regular text for you, but there's an anchored text option, and that basically just means that the text won't move as the chart moves. So as you can see, I'm moving my chart and this text is always there, and I can just keep that on all the time. And even if I have like drawings, I can just copy it. Let's say drawings on here. So if I do like remove drawings, I've got it copied, remove drawings, and I can just paste it back. So I'll still have the same this is like the core, this is one of like the core elements of the chart that I'm not going to be removing. So all right guys, and this next tool I think is beneficial regardless of what trading style you're using. So how I'd like to show that is I'd like to ask a question here. If I ask you what happened New York session yesterday, you're looking at this chart right here. Are you able to tell me? Um, I definitely can, and that's one thing that this tool that I've started to implement has helped with is that makes it just something that is always on the charts and something that's always available to me. So I actually added the sessions indicator here. And this specific one actually starts um, hour before the session starts. So in this case, got London right here. London starts at 3 a.m., but this, the coloring starts at 2 a.m. So you get kind of that pre-London session in there as well. But what that does, even if you're looking at the charts far away, you like zoom out here, you can know. So this is New York session. I know this candle is 7 a.m. I know this candle is 8 a.m. And you can see that without having to, you know, go through individual candles and see what time it is. It's something that you can see very quickly. So I always keep this on my chart. It is a huge benefit to have something that even if you're looking at your charts for the week, I'm looking at this entire week, I can see what happens in each session. So, okay, so not too much happening in the London session. We see the big moves near 10 a.m. and near the a little bit after the opening of the New York Stock Exchange. So, kind of see these trends change over time. And that's one thing that's just very easy to see if you have a sessions indicator. So this particular sessions indicator is by Parks Effects. Let me pull that up here so you can here. So it's by Parks Effects, and if you just search sessions right here, it should pop up. Parks Effects right here. So just grab that one, and that can give you a similar one. Like I said, this one it starts basically an hour before the actual session starts, so it kind of gives you that pre-market look, but it gives you a vantage point of where each candle is without having to go in individually and try to figure out what's going on. Like I know this is Asian session, this like blacked out area, and that's a setting that I changed, like kind of changed the settings a bit. So I only have New York and London's showing, and this is kind of that crossover time right here. So very good tool to have in your arsenal, especially if you're not trying to spend that much time on the charts, because it just makes it that much faster to look at the charts and see what's happening, not look into it that much. All right, let's move on to the next tool that we've added. All right, and the very last thing that we've added to the charts that has definitely benefited my trading has been added the trend lines, and we've added them on a few different levels here. So I'm always looking at the daily to see the direction of the market. So in this case, we can obviously see that this is an uptrend, but I just keep that line on the chart. So I know that this is what I'm looking for overall, is that upward movement is where I'm going to be making my money. So there may be deviations from this where it, goes down, and sometimes maybe there's a point where I would take a sell if these become congruent. So if there's two of these that show down, yeah, I would be taking a trade, but it would just kind of depend on what the market is doing. Either way, I would be plotting this, and then at the end of the trading day, so when the pretty much like before I go to bed, I try to plot out. I'll go on to the 4 hour, and then so basically once we're in Asian session, pretty much any point around then. So this the black area, if you're looking at my sessions indicator, um, all going to be the Asian session times here. But at that point, I'm going to be making another trend line, the zigzag one here, that shows where I think the market is going for the next day and what I'm going to be trading tomorrow. So in this case, I mean, the market's still open, so I'm not going to be doing this quite yet, but um, I might be looking at a bounce back and back to the upside, or it could go up, go back down, and go up. But the main idea is that you want to plot out and visualize what the market could actually be doing, because then you'll actually start seeing it line up. You'll start seeing it do that, and then it gives you a lot more confidence. Like, bruh, one of these has to happen if it's an uptrend. Like, this is the only times if I am bullish on the market, then it literally either has to keep going up and then retest and then go up, or it has to just like start going down now once it gets the Asian session and then go back up. There's not really any other options, because if there were, then it would be going down. So you got to plot out what options there are for you. That way you can see where you would actually be getting in to possible trades the next day. So I'll have these on the charts, and then when you move into the next day, you already have these trend lines that really kind of dictate what you're going to be looking for, and it makes it a lot easier to stay out of bad trades that you don't need to be in. So that is the last tool that I'm going to show here. So hopefully that was beneficial. Once you start adding these things up, it just makes the trading, said it in the first video too, it just makes the trading automated. It makes it very emotionless. Same thing every time. You're looking for the same things every day. If they don't happen, you don't trade. So that's been very beneficial in my trading, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you haven't watched my first video on first lesson I learned about passing my funded account challenge, the partial stop loss, partial take profit, go ahead and check that out. I'm going to try to be dropping more videos more often here. Feel free to comment if you have any video suggestions or anything you'd like to see in the future. I've already got a few in mind that I'm going to be dropping very soon here. So, and tell you what, guys, if you found this video useful, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. I think this is some valuable information that I haven't seen too much, like I said, but catch you on the next one, and